Good day, students. Welcome to RATS, Racing Against Time for Students in Pathology. As mentioned earlier, we are continuing with general pathology. The topic for the day is pigments, and the importance of it is given in the enclosure. A very nice quote by Alan Klein. Our attitudes are the crayons that color the world. Classification is always an aid to orderly thinking. And when it comes to pigments, they can be classified as exogenous pigments and endogenous pigments. Exogenous includes anthracosis, silicosis, siderosilicosis, and tattooing. Whereas endogenous has the following panel under it: melanin, lipofuscin, hemosiderin, bilirubin, hemozoin, and ochronosis. Pigments by themselves can be asked as an essay question, or each of these can have its own importance. Coming to the definition, pigments are insoluble coloring substances of exogenous or endogenous origin which get accumulated within the cell. To this definition, Robbins has added another clause. They may be harmful or harmless. So all this should be included in the definition of the word pigment. The first one will be an exogenous pigment, namely anthracosis. We are in a world of civilization. In fact, anthracotic pigment has been described as a mark of civilization. This is a slide of the lung, and I am finding the alveolar spaces. Normally, there should not be much of a space here, but then because of fibrosis, it is broadened and thickened. Anyway, I am finding multiple small patches of black pigmentation, namely the anthracotic pigment. All of us are bound to have it. It is a mark of civilization because of traffic, because of industry, so on and so forth. And this is an autopsy specimen of the lung in which I am able to find multiple fine lines of this anthracotic pigmentation. Otherwise, the lung appears normal. And this is another extreme called as Kohl-Werkers pneumoconiosis. In this condition, I find that the lung is almost jet black in color, and there may be cystic spaces which are containing ink-like fluid. And this is called as Kohl-Werkers pneumoconiosis, quite a crippling disease. The next one is tattooing of the skin. Tattooing is supposed to be a memory of bygone folly. A beautiful description by Robbins again. What happens here is pigments are being injected into the skin and they are being engulfed by the dermal macrophages. These dermal macrophages have got a very long life, as a result of which you find that they remain. That is why it has been described as a memory of bygone folly. Look what is happening over here. There is an injection of the pigments. Secondly, they are being engulfed by the dermal macrophages. And third one is they are persistent. And obviously you find that they are a mark. I hope that we will not be carrying it to our marriage. Melanin, again, an important endogenous pigment. It is a normal pigment that occurs in the skin. Let us see the importance of this particular one. The Greek word melas means black, and it is supposed to be a mantle. Mantle means a covering that protects us from the ultraviolet light or the sunlight. Because of this, many a disease has been prevented. Normally, it is found in the skin. In the eyes, it can be in the choroid. It can be in the substantia nigra of the brain or also the leptomeninges. These are all normal areas where we can get a melanin pigment. Sometimes you find that there can be excessive production, and what happens is on further exposure to sunlight, there can be an increased amount of production as a preventive measure. It can also occur in some diseases such as Addison's disease, chloasma, and Peutz-Jeghers syndrome. These two we shall be seeing. Chloasma is a development in pregnancy where there can be pigmentation of the skin. So this is a nevus. A nevus is almost a birthmark. In fact, you are identified by one of your nevus. So it can be a junctional nevus wherein it occurs at the junction of the epidermis and the dermis. The epidermis is this violetish color and the dermis is the pinkish color over here. The next one is a compound nevus which comes from within the epidermis into the dermis. And sometimes it can be purely a dermal nevus or an intradermal nevus. So these are the different locations. Sometimes a compound nevus can pave way to a melanoma and this should be viewed with guard. This is a slide of a dermal nevus and this is the epidermis I am finding. This is a keratin over here and these are the layers of the epidermis. And there are also multiple accumulations of the dermal macrophages which are having the pigment and this is called as a dermal nevus. How is a melanin pigment formed in our skin? There is a L-tyrosine which is acted upon by an enzyme called tyrosinase. This gets converted into dihydroxyphenylalanine or DOPA. So the tyrosine gets converted to DOPA by means of the enzyme tyrosinase. Again, this DOPA is also acted upon by the same enzyme tyrosinase which converts it into melanin. So these two steps we must remember because they are very, very important. And what happens is the melanin pigment is injected into the melanosomes by dendritic cells. What are the dendritic cells? This is it. These are cells which have got long processes called the dendritic processes and they are found in the dermis. They are neuroectodermal in origin or neurogenic in origin and they produce the melanin pigment. This gets injected into the epidermal cells by means of this dendritic processes. And this injection will be blocked and the production of melanin is blocked in a disorder called albinism. We shall be seeing this. So what happens over here? If there is no enzyme tyrosinase, there is no DOPA and there is no melanin pigment at all. As a result of which the patient will be parch white in color and that is called as albinism. Coming to the two important lesions in pigmentation of melanin. One is called a nevus. This is a nevus. A nevus is either flat or it can be slightly elevated, but it is very well circumscribed. The color is also uniform. So nevus is supposed to be a birthmark. They'll be asking you what are the sites and all of us will be having one. I got a nevus on the dorsum of my left hand. Melanoma, on the contrary, is a very devastating tumor and there is a rapid increase in size. When I look at it, it is not uniform. There are a play of colors. So there is black over here, there is brown, and then there is a very pale light brown that is covering it. So there is a play of colors. Secondly, it is irregular, almost looking like an amoeba. Irregular. It can be nodular, it can be flat. And definitely it is prone for metastasis because it is a highly malignant tumor. As I had mentioned earlier, whenever there is going to be an absence or a decrease in the tyrosinase, you find that the melanin pigment is not converted to other. The tyrosine is not converted into melanin, as a result of which there is colorless areas within the epidermis. When it is patchy, we call it as vitiligo. When it is total, we call it as albinism. This is the slide of melanoma that we have been talking about. Melanoma by itself is a university question for you people. Look at this one. It is a tumor that is having sheets and nodules of large cells. What I am trying to outline is the entire cell. And this purplish pink is the cytoplasm. These two are the nuclei. And there is another dot within the nucleus which is called the nucleolus. So the cells are large. They have got a large nucleus with prominent nucleolus. They can be arranged in sheets. But I am able to see some pigmentation here, and in some cells they will be obscuring the nuclear details. In this cell, for example, I am not able to see the nuclear detail at all. So it contains a brown-black pigment which is granular. It can obscure the nucleus. It is an aggressive looking tumor itself. And it has got a large nucleus, prominent nucleolus. This is a melanoma. As I had mentioned earlier, the pigment can occur in other conditions. One is called the Addison's disease. In this one, there is a pigmentation on the face. It is caused because of ACTH, adrenocorticotropic hormone deficiency. And this occurs in Addison's disease. Another disorder is the Peutz-Jeghers, in which there can be a pigmentation, particularly in the lips. The patient may be having a gastric polyp. Now we shall go to the next pigment, namely bilirubin, and the condition is called as jaundice. I am sure that you people are aware of the pre-hepatic, hepatic, and the post-hepatic causes for jaundice. And the bilirubin pigment itself has got an affinity for the sclera, the conjunctiva, and also the skin. It can be deposited in other parenchymal organs such as the liver. Now, how do you identify it? One is the yellowish discoloration of the sclera and the conjunctiva, the skin. It can be identified by means of a special stain called the Vandenberg stain. And you do the Vandenberg test also in biochemistry. And there is also another test called the Faucher's test. We will not be going into too much of a detail, but let us recollect what we had seen in our biochemistry earlier. Now, whenever there is a trauma, you find that there is a play of colors. After all, the bilirubin is being formed from damaged or old RBCs. So what happens is, in this condition, there is a red color, and then there is a greenish tinge over here. There is also an yellowish color. The heme produces a red color, biliverdin produces a green color, and bilirubin produces an yellow color. This is again described as a play of colors. This is a slide of the liver. I am finding the liver parenchyma over here, lot of fibrous tissue in which there are golden brown or golden yellow lakes of bilirubin. We call it as lakes of bile. And this is what I had meant. You would have seen it in your biochemistry earlier. So the hemoglobin is released from the RBCs, which are old or damaged because of hemolysis. And you get a pigment called as heme. And the heme is converted to biliverdin by means of heme oxygenase. Biliverdin is again converted to unconjugated bilirubin by means of biliverdin reductase. It undergoes a conjugation, and then there is a conjugated bilirubin. You can see the colors here also. So there is a red color, there is a green color, and then there is an yellow color. Very beautifully depicted in this flow diagram. And that is why you get this play of colors. I hope you people are able to put things together. Another pigment here is lipofuscin. Lipofuscin itself is a question and it can be termed as a wear and tear pigment or an aging pigment because it occurs with old age. Whenever we become old, our organs also become old. The cells become old and the organelles become old. So these are being removed and they are phagocytosed by the lysosomal vacuoles and they remain as residual bodies. Residual bodies in the cytoplasm. Look at this particular cell. It is a heart in which I am able to see the nucleus and the struts of cardiac myocytes. But around the nucleus, I am finding this golden brown pigment, which is the lipofuscin. Because this is the area where there will be the mitochondria and the Golgi apparatus. That is why I find it around the nucleus, very nuclear in location. It is also called a spheroid pigment because it has got an orange tinge. So yellowish brown, and they say that free radical is one of the causes for it. Simply put, it can be because of aging. Parenchymal organs will be having it, such as the heart and liver. Golden brown, very nuclear in location, it is because of the autophagy of the organelles, which remain as residual bodies. So this is a heart, and I find that the color is also a slight change is there because of the pigmentation. Always, pigments are problems to pathologists because we find a golden brown color or a brownish black color in a number of conditions and we have to confirm the diagnosis, otherwise we will be missing it. So it can be confirmed by means of this. As I mentioned earlier, there is a condition called as amelanotic melanoma. It is a melanoma, but the lesion will not be showing a brownish black color. So we do a special stain called DOPA. This has been lacking in that patient. So we do a DOPA reaction, as a result of which we get a black color. Or there is another special stain that can be used called the Mason's Fontana, again which produces a black color. So these two are stains in a case of amelanotic melanoma. Sometimes I'll be finding a completely pigmented lesion. The melanin is pigmented. And so I will be confirming it by removing the pigment. That is called a melanin bleach. These are the substances that can be used. Potassium permanganate, ascorbic acid or formic acid. So that completes melanin. Hemosiderin is another brownish pigment or yellowish brown pigment and that can be stained by means of a Pearl's Prussian blue. The hemosiderin produces a blue color. Bile, as I told you, we can use the Vandenberg stain. Lipofuscin can be stained by Toledan blue. So these are all the special stains. For hemozoin, there is no special stain that is used. This is the hemozoin pigment that is produced by Falciparum malaria. This is the life cycle of the malarial parasite. We have got the ring form, the trophozoite, schizon. And the schizon will be fragmenting into small elements called the merozoites. Different strains of this malarial parasites will have different number of merozoites. And the merozoite will again become a ring form. What happens in this case, there will be a food vacuole in which there is an accumulation of the hemozoin pigment. And this is deposited in the tissues. This is again the liver which is showing dark black pigmentation called the hemozoin pigment. This cannot be stained by Prussian blue. This is yet another disorder called ochronosis. In ochronosis, there can be a pigmentation of the skin, particularly over the nose, over the eyes, in the earlobes. And I find that there is some yellowish brown pigmentation that is found in the dermis. Look at all these patches over here. It is all because of ochronotic pigmentation, which is an accumulation of homogentic acid. And there is a deficiency of the enzyme, homogentisate dioxygenase. Whenever there is an enzyme deficiency, the previous compound gets accumulated. It also can be external because of phenol application to the skin. And this was identified by a person called Rudolf Virchow, the father of pathology. These are the sites where it can get accumulated, namely skin, cartilage, tympanic membrane of the ear, and joints. Hemosiderin is a very important pigment. There is a disorder called as hemosiderosis and hemochromatosis. These are essay questions by themselves. We shall be seeing them in detail. It is a hemoglobin derived pigment, golden yellow in color, and it is a storage form of iron which is composed of ferritin and hemosiderin within the lysosomes. And since it is brown in color, in order to confirm, we will be doing a special stain called Pearl's Prussian blue. It can be either local or systemic in cause. The local excess, as I told you, it can be because of any bruising, a hematoma or hemorrhage where there will be accumulation. Sometimes systemically, there can be an overaccumulation because of overload. Supposing a patient is being given repeated blood transfusion or you take increased intake of iron, there can be an accumulation. A disorder called as hemolytic anemia where there is too much of destruction of RBCs leads to this production. Hemochromatosis is an accumulation in the parenchymal organs. And look at this one. This is actually a slide of the lung which is having this brown pigmentation because of hemosiderin. And there is a blue color because the stain that is used is a Pearl's Prussian blue. And this is again a picture of the lung where the patient has been having a heart failure cell. So he has been having a left heart failure, and because of that there is a brownish pigmentation. Thanks to this brown med, a source of this particular picture. This is just a recapitulation. As I told you, the melanocyte, it is a cell of neurogenic origin. It has got dendritic processes. It will be producing the melanin, which is being injected into the layers of the epidermis. And within these cells, there are two components. One is called as the melanophore or the cell where it is getting accumulated. And melanosome is a lysosomal vacuole where it is getting accumulated. Now, when this is getting blocked, you get a disorder called as vitiligo or albinism. On the contrary, in some people, you find that they are increasingly dark because of increased amount of transfer of melanin pigment to the epidermis. In order to prevent that, people use this Fair and Lovely. Nowadays, more than women, you find that men want to be more fair and handsome. As a result of this, they keep using it. And Robbins very beautifully says that if you could have stopped this, millions of dollars could have been saved. So I would like you people to kindly identify these lesions. This is a young child having a large flat nevus, and this is a nodular nevus or mole. And this is a patient having a vitiligo wherein there is a focalized loss of pigmentation. This I would like you people to kindly explain. So the melanocyte located in the epidermis injecting the melanin pigment which is stored within the lysosomal vacuoles, and these are called the melanosomes. And this is a pathetic, it is actually a beautifully drawn portrait of a patient having albinism. Total loss of pigmentation in the hair, in the skin, sometimes in the cornea also. That is why they will be having a development of malignancy or they will be having intolerance to sunlight. Coming to the end, colors are the smiles of nature. A beautiful quote by Leigh Hunt. Gracias.